The last piece of this is expectation management. And I will tell you, expectation management, really, from my perspective, you can do leadership, you can do strategy, and those can be spot on. But if you don't manage expectations correctly, this will kill your initiative every single time. I'd mentioned it earlier, but this is a culture change. When you talk about changing the instructional delivery of a teacher, you're talking about their personal style. And I know my wife, I've been married 32 years, my wife has been a teacher since she graduated. If I were to walk into her and tell her, hey, what you've been doing for the last 22 years, we want you to change, first of all, I would never deliver that message because it would not have a very positive response. But the point being is it's personal. And how we deliver that message will make or break how it's received from our teachers. And so if we take into consideration as we're approaching this concept of changing the instructional delivery, we take into account that it's personal, that it's culture, and that it takes a long time. That puts the proper perspective, sets the proper tone. I remember when I got the principals together for our first year, for our first meeting, I could tell that there was such tension in the room because as I was talking about, we're going to give a laptop to every kid and we really want, this to kick off. We want the teachers to use it. Every single one of them had, the handful of teachers who they were thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get them to embrace this? And when I said, okay, listen, this is a 3-year initiative and we understand this is going to take time. And here is our strategy that will allow you the time to get even your most obstinate person against this. We're going to give them time to embrace this. The tension went out of the room, and the principal started to listen to what our strategy was. Had we had the expectation of, look, we want 90% adoption by the time we get done with our first year, and set all of these lofty goals, they would not have listened to anything. They would have been totally concerned about what we're doing. So the expectation management is critical. Pacing has to be realistic. Culture change takes time. You are going to have different pockets of adoption based on the 3 user groups. We call them the early adopters, the testers, and the resistors. You're also going to have different pockets of adoption based on principal leadership. And you have to take this all into account. So it might not be the fault of the teachers at this campus that adoption is slow. It could be the principal. So rather than going in and jumping down the throats of teachers because not 100% adoption, we need to really take a look at the principals. And the adoption groups, what we did in our first year is we focused on the early adopters. And the testers and the resistors that wanted to come to the training, we felt like that's icing on the cake, but we really want to build that capacity. The thought being there, I remember when I did this in a previous district, and in our first year of rolling it out, we focused on that 20% of people who were dead set against it. And what we found was that group is exhausting, and they will not move in their first year, and it was emotionally draining on the project team. You have a project team who's enthusiastic, they're excited, and they believe in what they're doing. And if their body of work is continually with people who don't want to do it, are going to complain about it, that drains the whole project. Midway through our first year in my previous district, I said, we're done. We're going to focus on the people who are excited about this. The minute we did that, the whole emotional tone of the project changed. So that's why we did that in HISD in our first year, was because we knew that was an excited group. One of the things that we learned as we went into year 2 is those early adopters, they are absolutely a powerful group. But where we really need to focus our energy on are those people who are riding the fence, those testers. And so that's where we focus our energy going into year 2. The early adopters, man, they're excited, and it doesn't matter what we do, they're going to continue to be excited. So we're going to continue to give them opportunities, but where we really wanted to focus our professional development was on that group of testers. If we could move them off the side of the middle of the fence onto, hey, we embrace this, then we really felt like we were doing a lot in our first year. So, in conclusion about expectation management, it's all about cultural change and embracing that and understanding it. It's all about pacing, knowing that this is an evolution, that it's going to take time, and we have to be realistic about what our expectations are, and then embracing the various adoption groups, the testers and the resistors. And the last thing that I'll talk about expectation management is, just like the Navy SEALs, when they have their training to become a Navy SEAL, they have that big golden bell that the individuals go, and when they've had enough, they go ring the bell, and that says, I'm done. In HISD, we have the philosophy that you're going to grow or you need to go. And we're going to give you plenty of time to grow. Our expectation is 3 years. But if you are unwilling to do that, then HISD is not the place for you. And that's a hard conversation to have, but what is at stake is our students and preparing them to be successful in whatever avenue they have. So I don't think we have time to wait. We need to give them, the teachers, time to come to terms with it, but eventually they either need to jump on board or they need to go, or just like the Navy SEALs, they need to ring the bell whenever they say, this is it, I can't do it. But that also has to be part of expectation management. So that's a little bit about the recipe, the 3 pillars, again, leadership, strategy, and expectation management. And the nice thing about the recipe is I think wherever you are, whether you're contemplating a digital transformation, in the early stages of planning for it, or you're deep in the middle of it, I think the recipe has points that no matter where you're at in that continuum can help you avoid what's coming down in the future. So I hope it's of value. Thank you very much.